You know what time it is.
What's up, beer people?
If you heard it on the hashtag beer time, it's true.
It must be true.
It's true. It is fact. Please, won't you name one of your beers Cart Horse?
And just do something terrible. Just brew a shit beer.
Stick your
Yeah.
finger in there every now and again.
Stir it with a sock.
Every show, it feels like my first show.
Every show is a new adventure.
Did I make sense there? I think I did.
I love them all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to hashtag beer time, the show about all things beer. And in this show, it's a short little podcast. It was a recording done with my good buddy Hilton Brown a few weeks ago when he was in town visiting from London. And we thought, why not do a quick little sneaky show with Brewdog? So we got to try 3 Brewdog beers. We chatted about the London craft beer scene and what's happening around the world with Brewdog. So I'll let you get stuck into it. I hope you enjoy it. Cheers. Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special, quick, little short episode with me, T-Bone Troy, hashtag beer time. And we've got a special guest in the studios today. It's my old-time buddy, Mr. Hilton Brown, all the way from foggy London town. Hilton, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Right. We struggled to come up with or kind of think of a theme for today, but we settled on a Brewdog theme, which is, hey, that's not a bad theme to settle on.
A brewery close to my heart.
A brewery very close to all of our hearts. So let's get the show right underway. And you brought us 3 beers. Let's actually talk about them first. The first one is the classic Brewdog Punk IPA. And then you've bought the Brewdog Slot Machine, which is a red rye IPA. And then the classic Jet Black Heart, which is a vanilla milk stout. They sound very delicious.
Yeah. So 2 of these are my favorites, the Punk IPA and the Stout. The Slot Machine I've not had yet, so I was quite excited to give it a go. I've actually seen it around in London, just haven't managed to snap one up yet. But this will, I suppose we'll talk a bit more about them, but the Jet Black Heart is one of my favorite stouts of all time. Reminiscent of the Castle Milk Stout, just takes it to the next level, and something they actually added to their core brewing line about a year ago, I think. So a great addition in my opinion.
It's a nice warm day here in Cape Town. Let's crack open these beers. Were you surprised that we were able to get some of these beers in Cape Town? Yeah.
Actually popped down to Ruland Liquors, and the availability of Brewdog was quite impressive. That's better than a lot of the craft beer stores in London, in fact, in terms of Brewdog range.
It's our good friend Brad, who the man behind Beverage People, who brings it into Cape Town. So cheers to Brad, and cheers to seeing you again.
Cheers to that. Yeah, and nice and fresh. There's a lot of hops on the nose, which is good.
So this is 4th of the 11th. So this only expires on the 4th of November. So I'd imagine this is quite fresh.
Yeah. So could we assume it was brewed in November of last year?
Well, I can assume it was brewed in the last 2 months, maybe. But I know that Brad just got over a shipment recently. So yeah, this has to be pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Do you think this Punk IPA? It has changed. I know it has changed since their first recipe, but do you think it's changed recently? And I'm talking like within the last year.
No.
You think it's still the classic?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe they've altered their hop bill slightly, and maybe that's because of restrictions on or limitations on what hops they can get, but I wouldn't say it's changed too much.
Because, I don't know, I feel like there's a tone down in terms of the hit of hops that you get in the aroma, and also when it comes through to the tastes. And I'm just wondering whether they have in fact kind of mellowed it out a bit, or maybe we're just used to drinking IPAs now, and our palates
maturity has climbed a bit.
Yeah, that could be the case. I mean, it's certainly a mainstream beer. If you look at the stats on craft beer sold in the UK, this is a giant. I mean, this, I don't know, dwarfs the next craft beer by 10 sales to 1. So they've...
Would you say this is the number one selling beer? In
craft beer, yeah.
In UK?
Yeah,
okay.
Without a doubt. And the joke is their Elvis Juice, I think, is number 2. And their Dead Pony Club is number 4. So out of the top 5 beers in the UK, craft beers, they've got 3 of the top 5.
It's not bad.
That's not bad at all, not too shabby. As a shareholder, I'm not disappointed.
I'm very jealous that you are able to buy shares. I know that I've tried once or twice, and I think every time I just get denied because they're only limited to local EU citizens, and you actually have to be living there.
Yeah.
So I've tried. I've changed my name to Klaus, and still they've refused. And yeah, but I mean, it's a great investment. They're definitely expanding. They've just gone ahead with plans for the Australian branch. Or I think it's like a very small experimental brewery. And then from what I know is that China is just going to be another mega brewery.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as I understand, China is the largest consumer of beer in any nation in the world. So I'm not sure what percentage craft beer makes up of that, but if you can tap a tiny segment of that market, you're laughing. And it would be interesting to find out whether any of the other American breweries have actually gone into China and what success they've had. But BrewDog are, where every market they've entered, they've done really well. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I've read some history about the big guys, Miller Coors, AB InBev, and also Heineken, how they try to infiltrate the Chinese markets. And I think they've been doing a lot of work in there, and they've brought in a lot of mainstream lagers, but maybe China is now a market that's ready and waiting for this foreign craft invasion.
Yeah.
They're definitely not short of craft beer over there, but yeah, like you said, anything that BrewDog kind of lands in, it kind of just takes over, and it's just a brand that people want.
They've just got this phenomenal marketing machine that's always creative, innovative, and I think that also comes through in all the beers they brew. Maybe we'll get onto it, but the Indie Pale Ale is about the only BrewDog beer I've ever drunk, and I've drunk a lot, that I haven't enjoyed.
Well, we had a chat about this, I think, last night, where I mentioned there's a very popular YouTube vlogger who just absolutely lambasted BrewDog, both James and Martin, for making a really bad beer. And I'd like to debate. It's kind of like thinking, well, what is the thinking? And maybe they just tried to make an old school IPA that was for your grandpa. Do you still think that was a bad move?
If that's the beer they intend selling going forwards, it's a horrible move. I mean, it's essentially a pale ale with no hops. There's a slight bitterness, but absolutely no aroma. And I got myself down to one of the BrewDog bars and got probably the taste of the first commercial batch, and it was not good. So I'm secretly hoping they forgot the hops in the recipe, and they're gonna fix that up.
It would be great to get James or Martin's opinion. So James, Martin, if you're listening, you know how to get hold of me, and we wait your comments.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next beer, which is the Slot Machine, the Red Rye IPA.
Yeah.
Have you had this before?
No. So this is I'm excited to try it. BrewDog are just incredible in that they keep coming out with lots of innovation. So they've got their core range, but then they've also got exciting seasonal beers, and I think this is one of their seasonal beers. Like Elvis Juice, this could become a core beer, but
it says it's seasonal for now.
Yeah.
And I like that they've got they export to all different parts of the world, and they've already got like what appears to be Mandarin on the side of the can. So they've obviously started testing, and they've even got different languages: Spanish, German. I can't make up these other things, but yeah. So definitely looking at expanding their seasonal range and making things quite permanent. Red rye. Well, we've had a few red ryes. I know that South Africa's had one or two. They've kind of taken a bit of a back seat since I think the New England IPAs came into the scene. People kind of forgot about red rye, but I think it still has a place.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
So, I mean, I love the color. I love the sort of spiciness that comes through from that rye, and it's still got that beautiful hop hit. So
It does have a bit of a, not marmite, but it does have a bit of a meaty
definitely.
meatiness from the rye. Or at least I think it's the rye.
So in a place like London where it does get chilly, this is a great alternative to your IPA. After you've smashed a couple IPAs and a rye, this is a nice alternative.
Yeah, it does have a bit of a smoky feel in the mouth.
A little bit more warming. It's still with that hop hit.
I must say it's not my favorite style of beer, the red rye IPA, and I'm going to say that this is probably not my favorite, or one of the very few non-favorites from Brewdog. It's not. It doesn't have a. Maybe I'm looking for the wrong thing, but I'm expecting a bit more of a caramel.
Toffiness.
Toffee, or not that you should have a lot, but it's, to me, it's a little bit smoky. Maybe that's what they're going for with a slot machine, like a dingy old pub.
Yeah.
The smoky
Yeah.
Fumes that waft across the pub.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Maybe, and you know what, drinking it in summer in Cape Town, it's probably not the best beer. Good seasonal for London winter, but yeah.
What are your thoughts? I mean, what's the public's perception on the new branding of Brewdog? I mean, it's been around for, I think, almost a year now.
Yeah.
Oaks digging it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with their previous branding, but I think this brings some consistency across their beers since they have so many.
Yeah.
And now and again they do deviate from this sort of stock standard branding and come up with some crazy octopuses on beer labels.
What's that latest one with Make Beer Great Again with Donald Trump alien machine or something like that? I don't know if you've seen that.
No,
have you had it?
No.
I think it actually might be available in South Africa. I need to get my hands on that.
Yeah.
And okay, so I mean, you don't. I'm going to say you haven't met James or Martin, have you?
I asked them around for a few beers the other night, but they were busy. But yeah, just a matter of time.
They'll get there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, have you been to any events as a member of? I mean, you can call yourself a member, right? Or of Brewdog shareholder.
Yeah.
As a shareholder, you're entitled to certain benefits.
As a punk.
Have you enjoyed or used up any of those benefits?
You know what, I have to a degree. So all of their bars offer discounts to their club. So I've taken advantage of that many a time. In fact, whenever my mates ask, let's grab a beer, the first suggestion is Brewdog.
Yeah.
And they're so convenient. You know, they're probably 5 or 6 around London, so you can always get
actual Brewdog dedicated pubs.
Yeah. And they'll have.
It's 5 more than Cape Town. Not jealous.
Yeah, they will have the beautiful thing is they'll have probably 6 to 8 of their own beers, and then 6 to 8 of their guest beers, and their guests are not your average Joe. So just
what would their guest beers be?
The best you get coming over from the States, and then
okay, so not just UK local
Oh,
or
no,
Europe.
no,
It's also
no.
over the pond.
No, yeah. So they'll have the US guys, and they, one of their stock standards is Michelet. They always
Yeah.
seem to be on as guest brewers. The funny side note is that Camden was pretty much a stock standard guest beer, and the day they sold out to the big guys.
So they have sold out.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So Camden got bought out by AB at the end of 2015, and it's an amazing story that they started with two guys and about a 5 million total investment over the first 5 years. They then sold out to AB for close to 100 million. And the two of them owned good 90% of the brewery.
Lovely.
So they were laughing, but in the meantime, as soon as that deal got announced, Brewdog posted a picture of them throwing off the letters of the Camden beer off of their signboard. So then they weren't too chuffed about that.
Sure. Well, yeah. I suppose everyone's got their own reasons and ways in which to run a business. So yeah, if they made good beer and they sold, then
But it brings up
Good for
another
them.
interesting point in that what's the future for Brewdog?
Mm.
They've raised millions now across their various fundraisings, and at some point they've cashed out. They've taken money from a private equity firm, and already the owners have sort of cashed out to pocket a healthy bit of change. But I guess at some point, are they going to list on a stock exchange? Are they going to sell to one of the big brewers, which would be their business might as well close, I think, if they did that.
yeah, it goes against everything that they stand for.
Exactly. So
It is interesting. Like, what's when does a company like Brewdog become mainstream? They're not listed on a stock exchange, but they have, I would say, a very similar kind of pattern in terms of crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very interesting times. I keep saying, like, oh, never mind, as long as the beer's good. But, it's...
Well, what is your opinion?
The consumer is a tricky person. They love jumping on they love pushing down a success story or anyone who benefits.
Yeah.
And if the masses are against it, then people seem to kind of just jump in with that. I kind of feel like as long as a company like Brewdog, as long as they stick to their word and they continue to make punk beers, and that's what the whole motto was, and should still be. And so that's why I was very surprised with that whole indie pale ale, that they made a shit beer, or just a mainstream quaffable beer, which is so not what they're doing. It gets to a point where a lot of the niche and edgy things or products, it goes mainstream. So when it goes mainstream, how do you define that in terms of so many different factors, size, or distribution? Look, I think the word craft has been abused quite a bit, quite a lot lately. So maybe that's what needs to go first, and then just beer's going to become beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to a friend the other day, I was listening to one of my previous podcasts, and they were saying how wine's not wine. It's either like a Chardonnay or Shannon. There's a whole culture behind that. And I think beer's going to get there as well. I hope I answered that question. I hate it when I listen later on and I think, no, Troy, you didn't even answer that question.
Yeah.
I think I did.
Hey, you did waffle.
Let's get to this final beer. It is the Jet Black Heart. It is a bottle. Ooh.
There we go. Lovely.
And this is at a very low. We've actually gone down in terms of alcohol. We started at 5.6 with the Punk IPA. We then went to 5.2 with the Red Rye IPA, and we're now at 4.7% alcohol with the vanilla milk stout. Just give it a pour.
That's a bit of mother's milk right there.
Nothing wrong with a bit of a dark beer, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
you and I, when we started homebrewing, I think the dark beer was our
Cheers.
secret weapon.
Yeah.
I think because we had some good water, the water we had
Yeah.
in the area just kind of made the dark beers delicious. Okay, so this you're telling me I should be looking out for a Castle Milk Stout Imposter.
It's definitely got that slight sweetness from the lactose. But,
Yeah, and I'm getting a lot of black malt.
Yeah.
Not coffee, maybe spent coffee grains or
Yeah.
but more.
I get a little bit of 99% lint going on. Yeah.
Okay.
Very dark.
Very
soil,
dark coffee bean, cocoa bean.
volcanic vibes.
Almost ash-like.
Yeah, ash. There we go.
Ash mixed with some milk sugar. Delicious.
Yeah. No, it's this is I mean I'll underscore it again. This is one of my favorites from Brewdog.
Wow.
Makes me happy every time I drink it, and they actually serve it on nitro at their bars, so it has that Guinnessy feel to it, but
That
just
completely changes the game.
makes it go down so smoothly. It's dangerous. It's dangerous stuff.
It's actually the first sip. You get a little bit of that sweetness, that residual sugar that's left behind in the beer. I almost think it might be too much, but when you sip it again, that dissipates and goes away very quickly. So I can see how Master Brown would have 3 or 4
Hey.
in one sitting.
Yeah. And look,
Is there a pub close by to home?
far too close.
Really?
It's dangerous. Yeah. No, I must say we're very spoilt in London. The beer scene in general has just gone on leaps and bounds. I've lived over there for nearly 5 years now, and when I first arrived, the guys like the Colonel were sort of just really pushing some good IPAs, and like SA, it exploded soon after. So I think we went from probably 30 breweries to well over 100 breweries just in the London area in the past few years. And so you don't really need to go far to find a good beer, which is great.
Can you narrow it down to maybe 3 breweries or maybe 3 places you like visiting? Or I don't know. Yeah, just obviously beer is an occasion consumable. Like depends on the occasion. But what are your top 3 beer spots? What are your top 3 beers? Top 3 breweries? Anything like that? What stands out for you?
Yeah. Well, actually, the first sort of couple days I arrived in London, I went over to one of the bigger Waitrose stores, and there was a whole aisle of craft beer, and I almost fell over. I was so happy.
I had a similar thing in New York. We went to one of the big shopping centers, and just my wife actually said to me, like, no, I didn't even say anything to her. She just said no. Like, we don't have space to take all this stuff back.
She knew what you were thinking.
Yeah, I just threw away so many clothes.
Yeah, I don't need running shoes anymore.
Exactly.
So you don't. Firstly, you don't need to go far from your grocery store, which is cool. So you don't actually need to go to a bottle store in the UK. You can get everything from the grocery store, and we actually get our groceries delivered, which has the added benefit that you don't need to be carrying 6-packs around or begging your missus to lug them back from the store. But I live in Parsons Green, Fulham, and actually there's a pub there called the White Horse, which is,
I think it's well known to a lot of South Africans.
Yeah, very, very well supported by the Safa Southwest community. But also, interestingly, the Brooklyn Brewery head brewer, Garrett, what's his name, is famed for saying, if there's one place I go drink beer when I visit London, that's the place.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So for years and years, it's been that way, whether they were supporting the cask movement 10, 15 years ago, or the new generation of craft ales.
How many beers? 18 or something.
On tap?
Yeah.
More than that.
Oh, really?
Probably,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to my day.
Yeah.
They've obviously jumped up. And we're talking
Yeah.
10 years ago when I was there.
Yeah. They really pride themselves on a huge beer list of cans and bottles, but also 20 plus taps, which is incredible. And I actually play rugby with a group of guys, and we, the excuse is that we go for a few beers after our touch game at the White Horse. And a few of the boys are happy with it.
I'd happily dust out the old boots
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Go for a little run.
Yeah.
Oh, pull the hammy early.
Yeah, exactly. See you at the pub.
Okay, so the White Horse.
Yeah, the White Horse is
that top? Were any other beer spots or beer destinations?
yeah,
Breweries, pubs.
definitely. So there's a pub, well, a beer, I suppose, I don't know what you would call it, a bar called Mother Kelly's, and it's in a railway arch in East London, and East is very hipster, very cool, and they have 20 plus beers on tap. But I think that the key thing is they actually curate their beer list very, very well. The beer scene over there is like here, you have your breweries, and then you have your breweries. You have the guys who are serious about their beer and making phenomenal world-class beers, and those are the type of breweries that Mother Kelly always have on tap. They'll get all the special editions. I think they have great relationships with the breweries themselves and the distributors, so they are getting the good stuff. So, trip out to East London is
Never not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
And a third spot, maybe?
Well, it's hard.
Any breweries, any actual breweries that you like visiting?
Yes, yeah. So I was just going to say it's hard not to mention the Brewdog bars, because that's always a go-to. But another thing, if anyone ever heads over to the Mud Island, don't miss out on the Bermondsey Beer Mile. It's around the London Bridge, Bermondsey area, Southwark, which was made famous by Borough Market, a great foodie destination. But a few years ago, the Colonel popped up there, and then Brew by Numbers popped up there, and London Beer Factory, and it sort of just accelerated from there, where I think there are probably about 10 breweries all within a mile, and they've all followed the same model of opening up under the railway arches, which
awesome.
Are obviously the right zoning, but also the right pricing and enough space. And so it's a dangerous place to spend an afternoon. You only need to wander a few kilometers, and you'll be well on your way. But the beautiful thing is you can just hop on a tube there.
Well, the beautiful thing is you can just tell your missus, we're just going to the Borough Market. First thing on a Sunday morning, it'll be beautiful, and she will genuinely be impressed. But then it's just... And it's T-bone time.
Hey, babe.
Yeah. Well, what did you know? Look, what a coinky-dink.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, some nice advice there for people who want to visit London. I've said I'm going to come visit you, and every year it's always on my to-do list. And I don't know, just don't get round to it. But hopefully now with the new South Africa, maybe some new laws for visas and stuff like that. Who knows?
So. And an improving exchange rate.
And exactly.
Yeah.
But I need to come visit soon and check things out. What do you think of that jet black as it warms up now? I actually had a nice last few sips there.
I love it. It's just got everything.
That sweetness actually did go away.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not a heavy stout, so you can't. I mean, one of my favorite beers is Black IPA, which you don't see enough good examples of. And this, it doesn't straddle a Black IPA, but it does have that
bitterness, huh?
Yeah, it has that bitterness, and it's it has all the flavor you want from a stout.
Well, I think we are done with our 3 beers, and I think this is a good place to kind of leave it at. It was a short little episode. Master Brown is catching a flight to Florida tonight for a work conference. I don't know how much work would is going to be done.
Beer drinking
Tour.
Yeah.
So good luck for that. You have to at least tweet or do something or send some pictures and let us know. But thank you for your first hashtag Beer Time podcast.
Hey, T-Bone, it's been a pleasure.
And for everyone who's listening, thank you very much. Master Brown, pleasure, and we'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
And to everyone listening, ciao. Thanks for listening, guys and girls. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just search for hashtag Beer Time. That's hashtag Beer Time written out in full. Hope you enjoyed the show, and check you next time. Cheers.